Welcome to Refuel with Jennifer Ballou. Join Jennifer for the next hour for a time to recharge, refresh, and refuel your heart and soul. Here's your host, Jennifer Ballou.
Hey everybody, welcome to Refuel. I am excited to have you here with me, just like always. And I am just going to jump straight into today's topic, ? Backstory, whatever this kind of is, gearing us up for the month of November and just kind of where God's leading me and teaching me some things. Anyway, so here's the backstory. Of course, it sounds like I'm on like social media all the time. I feel like when I'm on here and talk to y'all, because I do run into some things that just kind of inspire me sometimes. So anyway, I was reading this lady's post that I follow, and she was talking about this book called The Body Keeps Score. And I asked another friend about the book, and she was like, oh, that's been on my list. I just haven't gotten it yet. Anyway, long story short, we both got the book. In the workbook. I really wanted to read through it. It's all about, it's actually about trauma and people diagnosed with PTSD. And I know you're thinking, why are you reading that? But there's a lot more to PTSD than post-traumatic stress disorder, than, people that have gone off to war, and survivors of domestic abuse and things like that. They're finding a lot more about it right now, and people that you would have never, you wouldn't look at them and think, oh, you have PTSD, you've been in this horrific whatever, are being diagnosed with it. I have not. I'm not saying that. I just I find it very interesting, and there has been some trauma in my life that it's good to kind of take some of that stuff and look at. And there's trauma in all of our lives. We all come with baggage and hurts and different things affect people differently because we are different. I'm going to stop rambling on that. Anyway, I think my long story short keeps getting longer. I got the book, and I was thinking when I recorded today's show that I would just really have been, had a whole week into the book and blah, 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 blah. And I sat down with it the other night, and it's a really good book. But I sat down with it, and before I opened it, I sent my friend a text, and I said, I really hope this is not written for really smart people. Because when you get those kind of books that are scientisty, that sometimes, listen, I'm not dumb, but I don't like big words. Don't use all the big fancy words. Just keep it nice and simple. I work with kids all the time. I count to 8 on the majority of every day. Like, let's keep it, like, write a book for dumb people when you're writing medical kind of stuff, okay? If you're going to publish it for the general public. Anyway, it's not really hard to read, but it is a lot to absorb, and it's really good. But all of that to say, it also got me looking at this other book I have that is about neuroscience, and then I have another book about that. Obviously, there's a trend there. And then the book that we also did, The Heart Made Whole, which was not written like it was a scientist going to read it. So that was helpful. I hope y'all are cracking up at me right now instead of thinking, good grief, Jennifer. Anyway, it all comes back to an attitude of gratitude, and we are going into November, and I know that's a big time. You're going to see a lot of people posting stuff on social media about gratitude, and That's just kind of the month, I guess, with Thanksgiving that people really kind of dive into that. And I don't want to be, like on that train, but I feel like in the times that we are living in right now, we need to take this seriously. There is on, illustratedfaith.com. You can go on there. They have a digital kits, and they have like physical kits that you can buy. There's one called the Grateful Project, and then there's the Gratitude Documented. That's what it's called. So if you're an artsy person, that would be fun to you, that to journal with some prompts and cute little things. It helps me. I encourage you to go and find some stuff like that. And I know I'm kind of jumping around right now, but I'm trying to give you my backstory, and y'all know my backstories probably are always total squirrel chases at all points of my life. So anyway, started this book, The Body Keeps Score, about trauma and different things like that. And in the process, remembered, if you give a mouse a cookie, I remembered all these other books. And really the core theme in a lot of them is about cultivating gratitude and thankfulness. And I just started pulling out all of my notes over the last, 5-6 years, and just digging through those about gratitude and thankfulness, and getting into some of my other books and just pulling all that out. So I do know that for the entire month of November, we are going to be talking about gratitude. And I will post them on social media. So if you do follow me on there, hold me accountable. But I did set up my own little gratitude journal. I'm doing the Grateful Project, because it's in smaller doses than the, what was I told you the other one was called? Anyway, that's the one I'm doing. And I've already set up my journal to do that. So I have no idea why I'm telling you all that. Good Lord. I have like 8 pages of notes here in front of me, and in no particular order, to flip back and forth through. So this should be fun. I promise it won't be a forever long podcast today, but we are going to get into this. But I do feel like we need to remember some things about gratitude. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the sacrifice of being grateful. That this requires work. It requires, hard work. It's not easy, because there's a lot of days you're not going to be grateful for things, and we're not going to feel grateful. But that's what the whole process of cultivating is, that we practice it, that we teach ourselves how to get in the habit of being grateful, of really looking for those things, that we train our brains. When we do that, and this is where all this brain science comes in, when we train our brains, we are actually forming neural pathways. Because we want our brains, when we really do this, when we really practice this, and we are cultivating gratitude and thankfulness and really this optimistic viewpoint, our brains start to operate in a state of free-flowing, feel-good hormones called endorphins. And we all know about endorphins, but they make you feel lighter and happier. They are a major boost in confidence, and you experience growth. But we have to form those neural pathways. And we have to do that with being grateful and really practicing this process. For the last 3 years, I think. 12 months out of the year, every other Friday, I would get together with friends and we would work on art. No matter what it was. I mean, we all brought different things, week to week. Some weeks I was painting, some I was sketching, some it was just journaling, whatever. But we would do that every other Friday, and I saw such growth in my artwork from the beginning until recently. And then life got in the way, and so I think the last time we met was in July. So nothing in August, nothing in September. For the most of October, we had not met. And I just was like, this is silly. I want to sit down. I need to do this. So I called my friend and I said, hey, let's start this back up. And it was like right on time for her for several reasons. But as I sat down and I started trying to draw and stuff again, it was like, my gosh, like I feel like I've regressed further in just not meeting in 3 months than it took me to develop in 3 years. It's so strange. That is how practice works. Like we really do have to practice things. You don't just walk in and do it perfectly. Even if you have a great talent, practice is a growing process all the time. Whether like you can walk in and, draw a landscape and it looked just, like you took a photograph or whatever, you can still do better. Well, there's always room for improvement, and there's always room for improvement with thankfulness and gratitude. I think of myself as a very positive person, and for the most part, I am, but I can also whine with the best of them and grumble and complain. And that's easy. Negativity is easy. Criticism is way easier than taking the time to encourage someone. And saying the world is going to end is far easier than daring to make a difference in it. The negative is not difficult. We can turn on the TV and make a list, pages long of negative things. It is so easy. But that positive, grateful heart does not come easily for any of us. And it's a choice that we have to make. And, when you make the choice to look for and focus on the good, the true, and the lovely, then you've made a deliberate, difficult choice. And it's a choice you are going to have to make daily, sometimes hourly. But here's the thing. We enter into his presence with thanksgiving. And of all the times, in all the Novembers, this one, I feel like we need to be entering into his presence with thanksgiving on the daily, and we need to make it a practice. When we express thankfulness, it opens our hearts to God, and it keeps we have to be trained in that, and we have to look for that. When you think of a positive person, this is a definition of a true optimist. They can maintain a realistic, resilient belief even in the middle of difficult circumstances. And in today's world, this is not an easy thing, just like we've talked about. But that is what we want to cultivate. And that is the sacrifice we need to be willing to make. In 1 Thessalonians 5:18, it says, "And in the midst of everything, be always giving thanks, for this is God's perfect plan for you in Christ Jesus." So in all things, always, we need to develop that thankful heart. And in Psalms 50, verse 14, and this is in the Message Bible. No, it's not. It's in the Passion Bible. It says, "Why don't you bring me the sacrifices I desire? Bring me your true and sincere thanks, and show your gratitude by keeping your promises to me." So again, this is a part of, this is a sacrifice. It is not easy. And it's something that we need to start practicing, that we need to get into that practice of cultivating gratitude. So let me give you a few little facts about positive thinking. And, besides the fact that this is, how we enter into the presence of God, positive thinking also increases your lifespan. It lowers the rates of depression. You have lower levels of distress. You have a greater resistance to the common cold. I think that's really important right now, don't you? I think we all need to get our positive pants on and beat this thing. Anyway, don't come at me. Positive thinkers have better physical and psychological well-being. They have better cardiovascular health, and they have better coping skills. They also tend to live a healthier lifestyle, more physical activity, and they follow a healthier diet. So, those are just some really, practical things about being a positive thinker. Let me tell you something about disappointment. It will dislocate you from the purposes of your life. It wants to anchor you in that situation or in those circumstances, and it robs people of the courage to step out of those circumstances and situations. Disappointment wants to hold you back. It gives you a poverty mentality. And I'm not just talking about money here. There's a lot of different ways you can have a poverty mentality and really hold you in lack. Okay? So that is what a lack of thankfulness will get you. And we don't want that. We want to step into 2022, and I'm talking about 2022 because I think if we can get in this mindset, we start practicing this on the daily, not just for the month of November. Like I said, we change our thinking, and we can really step into some of the things that God has for us. Joy and strength should accompany our everyday existence. That we gain new kingdom eyesight when we step into this place of gratitude. And when we develop this heart that appreciates all the seasons of life that we're in, whether they are in the struggle or in that sweet spot, that we develop that heart, that we realize that practicing this attitude matters. It's what perseverance is all about, and it teaches us things that we need in this time, and the world needs to see. Our view matters, and this is really what cultivating gratitude does. It changes our viewpoint, changes our perspective. we have an enemy, and he is creeping around, and he's trying to distort our view. He's trying to have you see through the hurts, the pains, the hard things, through those circumstances. He wants you looking through a lens of disappointment and frustration. So we need to start practicing looking at everything around us as a new opportunity to grow. That's what optimists do. They look at the world differently. They look for the good in every problem or difficulty, and they seek the valuable lesson. And that's what, this sacrifice of gratitude is going to start doing for us. So I hope you will join me over the next few weeks, really looking at developing this practice of gratitude, really changing those neural pathways, changing our viewpoints and our perspectives, really putting those kingdom glasses on. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you will see that we have a new monthly focus Bible verses up today, and those obviously will be about gratitude. So join me for that. Look on illustratedfaith.com. Look up those grateful projects and gratitude documented. And I encourage you to, dive into those and see what you can come up with that you would like to do as well. So until next week, work on that gratefulness. See you guys later. Bye.